Welcome in, welcome back to the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog. That's right, as you can tell by my attire, game day is upon us. This is my Week 9 preview show, and it is Rivalry Week. What a great weekend of football we have coming up across the entire college football landscape. I'd like to thank you once again for joining me on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, where I discuss, celebrate, and honor all things college football, with a special emphasis on our beloved black and gold squads of the Missouri Tigers and the Iowa Hawkeyes. My oh my, what a great weekend we have lined up for you of football. I've got a dynamite show lined up for you as well. Can't wait to get into it. But before I move any further, I appreciate any likes, any shares, any subscriptions. Please subscribe. Let's get the word out there. Spread the love, spread the word to every black and gold fan, but every college football fan in general. And I always promote and ask, and I want you guys to comment. Let me know how I'm doing. Is there something you'd like me to present on air? Ask a question if I have left something out or if I've made a huge gaffe, put my foot in my mouth. Feel free to call me out. Not a problem at all. But on the Week 9 preview show, I have 3 topics and segments to present and discuss with you. First of all, I would like to, in a little bit, I'll go ahead and bring up some of the key matchups that are going to define Rivalry Week. Then I will give you a little bit of commentary, a little bit of analysis on how I see the games playing out for our beloved black and golds this Saturday. And then everybody's favorite segment, we'll get right into the Week 9 Pick'em segment, to where, as normal, it'll be your boy Blair Parks against Charlie, my former co-host. And we have a guest picker joining us today. That'll be my brother Anthony, Hawkeye fan number 1. So let's go ahead and get right into it, shall we? All right, so our key matchups, and before I present these to you, I need to say this, that there is some very awesome matchups today that we need to be paying attention to tomorrow. But this weekend, the Big Ten is absolutely on display. So for all of you Big Ten guys, Big Ten gals, children, me being one of them, not that I'm a child. I mean, after all, I'm a man. I'm 40. We are going to absolutely celebrate the Big Ten tomorrow. There's huge games that are going to define the races, especially in the Big Ten East Division, which has been highly contested to this point. A little bit more of separation is going to be provided. So let me go ahead and discuss with you some of my key matchups I see on the radar for tomorrow. First one I would like to discuss is number 1 Georgia meets Florida in their annual rivalry game in Jacksonville, Florida. Previously, it was known as the world's largest outdoor cocktail party. That title has since been disbanded because PC, it promotes the drinking of alcoholic beverages. But if you just simply walk around the tailgate, there's no promotion needed. It's going to be happening. But let me let you know how I see this game playing out. Now, if you recall, last year Florida beat Georgia in this annual rivalry game. So will the number 1 best team in the nation, Georgia Bulldogs, will they be able to avenge last year's loss at the hands of the Gators? This is going to be an awesome game on the gridiron, a battle of 2 teams really heading in wrong and opposite directions. Can Georgia continue to flex like Arnold Schwarzenegger in the late 70s and strengthen their grip on over the rest of the college football field as the number 1 best team in the nation, which I absolutely think they have proven, and they are? And Florida is looking to avoid an unprecedented 4th SEC loss. And we haven't even reached Halloween yet, And Florida at this point is absolutely out of the SEC race and the playoff race, and they are looking to avoid their 4th loss in conference, something that we are just not used to with the Florida program. So we'll see how this game plays out. Some of these games that I'm discussing with you may or may not have made the cut for my Pick'em segment coming up here shortly. Stay tuned. Next game I want to bring to your attention, the first game of note in the Big Ten, which, as I stated, is absolutely on display for Rivalry weekend. Number 20 Penn State travels to number 5 Ohio State. Now, this matchup has lost a little bit of flair. Woo! Especially after last week's loss by Penn State at home over the Fighting Illini. I mean, this game was touted as a potential top 10 matchup, which everything was looking like it was going to be exactly that until that 9 overtime loss to the Fighting Illini. So how I see this game playing out, will the vaunted Ohio State offense continue to round out into late season form? If you haven't been paying attention, this offense is absolutely deadly. I mean, they are firing on all cylinders. It seems like maybe their defense has gotten a little bit better. I mean, the first few weeks of the season, this Ohio State defense and team overall looked very vulnerable, but they are starting to look a lot more Ohio State-like in the last few weeks. Let's see. Will Penn State avoid a 3rd straight loss? Now, most people are seeing this game end up 2 ways. When I have this week, I've listened, read what the experts, the pundits, what they're forecasting. They see this game being one of 2 outcomes. Either it's going to be an absolute boat racing by Ohio State, or Penn State's going to keep this game very close, come out with a lot of pride, answer the bell after last week's debacle against Illinois. You'll have to wait and see during picks how I see this game come out. I believe Ohio State is an 18-point favorite. I mean, that is a lot of points against a intra-division rival. Huge game there in Columbus. The winner takes the first giant leap towards winning the Big Ten East Division, because right now we have 4 teams that are in the mix for the Big Ten East Division. These 2 teams, but also Michigan and Michigan State, who also meet tomorrow in their annual rivalry, their in-state rivalry for the Paul Bunyan Trophy. So it's going to start playing out like musical chairs there for the Big Ten East. I mean, the schedule is absolutely top-loaded the second half of the season. So this is week 1 of that elimination process between these 4 teams. So, and also, side note, if you watched the midweek show a couple days ago, I did forecast and tell you about the updated coaching carousel. I absolutely expect James Franklin will be leaving at the end of the season for another job from Penn State. So I believe this will be the last time we see James Franklin on the sidelines as the Penn State coach in the Horseshoe in Columbus. But we'll have to wait and see how that plays out during the offseason. So huge game there between those 2 Big Ten East Blue Bloods. Next game I want to bring to your attention, a game that absolutely this year doesn't really matter as much as it usually does. This is the turn back the clock matchup. Florida State travels to Clemson. In years past, I mean, this was the absolute marquee game within the ACC conference. Both of these programs have really had great success even recently. Last year, Clemson made the college football playoff field. And within recent past, these teams have both won national titles. Clemson actually winning 2 national titles. But this year, the way it's played out, both these programs, it's not the type of seasons they absolutely wanted. So how I see this game playing out between these ACC rivals, these 2 previous Titans have become afterthoughts this season, which they have. The ACC's best teams and only hopes help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi, you're my only hope, is the most unlikely of teams to get to the playoff. That is Wake Forest and Pittsburgh. So these two teams are in the very, very back. You know, they're looking up front. They're in the basement looking up to the penthouse. Far from this year due to multiple issues and deficiencies within both programs. Absolutely, this is not the usual marquee matchup. Bragging rights are on the line and one step closer to bowl eligibility. Both of these two teams can still absolutely make a bowl, but to get there, this is almost a must-win for either team to get to that coveted 6th victory and get a bowl invite. So we'll see how that game plays out there in Death Valley and Clemson. Next game, big tilt within the SEC. We have number 10 Ole Miss travels to number 18 Auburn. This is a huge matchup in this de facto SEC West kind of elimination game. I mean, Auburn right now has one conference loss, just like Ole Miss does. And the winner of this game absolutely stays alive in the vaunted SEC West race. Can the Cinderella run for Ole Miss continue? And Heisman Trophy candidate and frontrunner Matt Corral, can this continue? We'll have to wait and see. Or will Bo Nix do Bo Nix things? You know, put on the Superman cape for Halloween and rescue Auburn once again at home. Well, man, what a great player. Bo Nix, for those of you who don't know him, he is such a hot and cold quarterback for Auburn. Guy can make every single play in the playbook and every play out of the playbook, but also can make those head-scratcher plays as well. So what Bo Nix will show up in this game, we'll find out. And this is a big game, like I said, for both programs, both teams, but especially for Auburn. If they win this game, they really have that division right where they want it, because at the end of the year, the last game of the year, they host Alabama in the Iron Bowl this year. So huge game for both, but especially for Auburn if they want to get to Atlanta and play for the SEC title game. So huge game within the SEC West. Next game I want to present to you at the Power 5 level. Number 19 and undefeated SMU travels to Houston to take on the Cougars. Can SMU gain a key road victory and remain undefeated and remain on a collision course with undefeated number 2 Cincinnati within the American Athletic? That's really what everybody wants, because as of now, I believe Cincinnati will be a playoff contender. Now, as a reminder, the very first playoff rankings come out Tuesday night, so I will absolutely update you on those during next week's midweek show. So to get another feather in the cap potentially for Cincinnati, you want SMU to win. You want this team to win out, because in a few weeks, they match up head-to-head with Cincinnati. So that would be another potential signature win for the Bearcats to crash the playoff party. And one thing about Houston, a team that's really flying under the radar. They're 6-1. They lost their opening week game to Texas Tech. So since they've won 6 straight games, they are playing very good football. This is an absolute upset that I will not be surprised if it does happen there in Houston. So pay attention, big game at the non-Power 5 level. And last game I want to bring to your attention, that this is my spotlight game of the week. In this year's edition, for the battle for the Paul Bunyan Trophy, we have Big Brother versus Little Brother, Anthony versus Blair. 2 undefeateds meet up in East Lansing, where number 6 Michigan travels on the road to number 8 Michigan State. What a huge game, and really an unexpected game. No one saw this happening preseason, to see these two teams, when I believe Vegas had the over-under win total for Michigan State at 3, and for Michigan it was 7.5, and they're both sitting there undefeated. I mean, no one can say they saw this coming and really back that up. Okay? They can't. What a matchup we have. They meet up as undefeateds to claim the Paul Bunyan Trophy, as I stated. Will little brother Michigan State make it 2 in a row? If you recall, last year during the COVID year, Michigan State rolled into the big house, shocked Michigan, and took Paul Bunyan home to East Lansing. Can they make it 2 in a row? Or will we witness the further ascension of the Khakis? Or will this be the beginning of the inevitable end for Coach Jim Harbaugh at Michigan? Because as of this point, they've looked much better, but I don't really know which of these teams is for real quite yet. You look at their schedules, they really haven't played stiff competition quite yet, to where I don't know necessarily who's really good, who's a pretender, and who's a contender. This game is going to show us a lot, and this is the big noon kickoff on Fox, which here Central Time begins at 11 o'clock. That makes total sense. And I've got to give another shame and how dare you to the ESPN College Game Day crew, because they will also be at East Lansing with the Fox pregame team, to where, if you recall, weeks ago, the top 4 matchup between Penn State and my Iowa Hawkeyes, number 3 versus number 4. Game day did not go there. They went down to the Red River Rivalry game instead between Oklahoma and Texas. And one of the reasons was because that game was not on their program. It wasn't an ABC or an ESPN game. That's maybe why they didn't send the game day crew there. Don't buy it. This is the second time this season that both the ESPN Game Day crew and the Fox Big Noon crew have been at the same location, even though the game was on Fox. They were both there in Chicago for Notre Dame, Wisconsin, and this week, Michigan State and Michigan. So, boo, shame to you, College Game Day, for not coming to Iowa City when you had the opportunity. So, once again, this game will really kind of show me which one of these teams has really benefited from a potentially soft schedule up to this point. So, huge separation day. Both of these teams ranked highly in the top 10. So, once again, the Big Ten is going to rule tomorrow, Rivalry Day. Can't wait. I mean, big-time excitement within the Big Ten this weekend. So those are my key matchups I wanted to bring to your attention and kind of give you my initial thoughts. And as always, next week during the Week 9 review show, I will revisit them and let you know how they played out and what the keys to victory were. Next segment is I want to give you a little bit of insight and analysis on the keys to victory for our beloved black and gold squads of Missouri and Iowa. Both of them are in action tomorrow during rivalry week, both coming off bye weeks last weekend. So let's go ahead and start with the Missouri Tigers. Now you're probably asking, Blair, why are you discussing Missouri? You've got an Iowa jersey on representing Tim Dwight, my favorite Iowa Hawkeye of all time. Well, I am a resident of the Show Me State, live only about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Columbia, Missouri. So they are my local Power 5 team, and I have several family members and friends who root for the Missouri Tigers, so I absolutely wanted to include them in this vlog. And by the way, they do wear black and gold, so they are Iowa's brethren, both daunting and wearing the black and gold. So let's start with Missouri's contest. Missouri this week is on the road in Nashville taking on Vanderbilt, a Vandy team that has fallen on hard times. I believe they now have lost 17 straight games against SEC opponents. Can't get much worse there in Vandy. I mean, potentially it can, but eventually it's going to get better. For you Vanderbilt fans watching, hang in there, keep the faith. Eventually you're going to turn a corner. So how I see this game playing out in the keys to victory. Now, Missouri's biggest issues this season, they are winless right now within the SEC, so somebody has got to get an SEC victory. It's going to happen. Missouri's issues have been their defense. Statistically, they are the worst defense in all of Division I football. not just at the Power 5 level, but every Division 1, all Division 1 schools. So that has absolutely been their biggest weakness, their Achilles heel, as I predicted that it would be during my initial episodes pre-season during the Black and Gold vlog. Feel free to watch those if you haven't. Very interesting, good stuff. And also on offense, they've been turning the ball over. Connor Bazelak this season has absolutely been turning the ball over at a much higher frequency than he did last year. So this is what Missouri has to do to get a victory. First of all, take care of the ball. Get out of your own way. All right? If they take care of the ball, they have absolutely the best player on the field on either side of the ball for either team is Tyler Beatty. Dude can catch out of the backfield. He can rush the ball. He can really do anything you ask him or need him to do, he can do. Missouri, to win this game, control the offense. Don't turn it over. Win the penalty battle. Rely on your stud field goal kicker, Harrison Mevis. Take care of what you need to do on special teams. And I highly expect Missouri to win this game. Now, because of how porous their defense has been, and it's been at times primordial ooze-like, that Vanderbilt, because of that defense of deficiency of Missouri, anybody that Missouri plays this season could potentially beat them. They have a fighter's chance. For Vanderbilt to pull the upset, what they need to do is themselves not turn the ball over, don't have any special teams miscues, but just run the ball and limit Missouri's possessions. If they do that, they have every chance to upset the Tigers at home tomorrow during rivalry week. So I'll definitely be watching this game. Huge game for both programs. For Vandy, it's just try to end your losing streak. And Missouri, you need this game. Right now, you're at, I believe, 3 victories. You need this game to get to bowl eligibility. This is a must-win game if you're a Missouri fan, because right now, get to 6-6, get your bowl game. But the biggest thing is, when you get to play in a bowl game, you have the extra practices, the extra reps, and that goes a long way for to build experience and reps. So that's what you need. This is a must-win game for Missouri. So we'll watch this one and see how I pick this game turning out here in a little bit. Stay tuned. Now the next for the Iowa Hawkeyes. Big time. This is rivalry week after all. Number 9 Iowa heads on the road to the House of Horrors as of recently. Woo! It is Halloween after all. They go on the road to Madison to take on the Badgers in Madtown at Camp Randall, a place that has not been kind to the Iowa Hawkeyes. This is going to be an absolute throwback kind of Big Ten game. And once again, another reason why the Big Ten is on full display this weekend. This is an absolute separation game within the Big Ten West race. If you recall 2 weeks ago, Iowa really deflating bad loss at home to Purdue, that was their wiggle room. Wisconsin already has 2 conference losses, but surprisingly, both at home. So can Iowa go there and pull off a victory? They can, but it's going to be a very tough task for them. Because I believe the winner of this game now becomes the front runner to win the Big Ten West and get to Indianapolis, especially after last week. Iowa had the bye, but Wisconsin went on the road and took care of business in West Lafayette against Purdue, so now they are the absolute number 1 challenger against Iowa for the division. So this is how I see this game playing out, is you have 2 very, very vaunted defenses. Iowa's defense, you know what's going on, how high on them I've been this season, for good reason. I mean, right now it's 29 games that they have allowed 24 points or less. I definitely expect that streak is going to continue to the big 3-0. So these defenses are great. Wisconsin's defense is the best defense in the nation against the rush. So it comes down to who is going to score the most points, but more importantly, who is going to have the fewest mistakes. Both of these offenses have really struggled this season. Iowa has trouble rushing the ball, so the Wisconsin rush defense is kind of washed out because I don't think Iowa could run against them anyway. Both of the quarterbacks have looked very anemic at times. I mean, Graham Mertz has kind of been hamstrung for Wisconsin. Last week, the win at Purdue, he only attempted 8 passes. I think the coaching staff has now told him that we are only going to let you pass the ball when we absolutely have to, or when we see a good opportunity to catch somebody off guard on surprise. So we have two offenses that are really going to struggle. I see this game being 16-10, 17-9. This is going to be an old school defensive battle. It comes down to field position, who takes care of the ball, and special teams. And I give the special teams edge to Iowa. I mean, the MVP so far, to me anyway, for this team has been the punter from down under, Torrey Taylor. They've got a good field goal kicker in Caleb Shudak. And my boy, probably the best Iowa kick returner since my guy Tim Dwight, Charlie Jones. I definitely think the special teams for Iowa could be the X factor in this game. But it's going to be an ugly game. If you're a fan of offense, this is going to be nap time for you. Like I said, 16-10, 16-13. I could definitely see this game ending in that sort of a score. And if it ends up more than that, I'll be very surprised. So we'll have to wait and see. Huge game, winner take all potentially up there in Madison between our Hawkeyes and the Badgers. Can't wait. This is also an 11 o'clock kickoff. So I'll be able to go back and forth to pull the old flipperoonie, which absolutely drives my wife crazy, between the Iowa game and the Michigan State game at 11 o'clock. Can't wait for that. All right. So now that we've gone through the key matchups, my analysis for our black and golds, now it's time for everybody's favorite segment. We come now to the Pick'em segment for Week 9. And if you recall, this was supposed to be the very first round of the guest picker tournament. It was supposed to be my brother Anthony going head-to-head, mano with my boy Logan. But unfortunately, Logan was not able to get his picks in. Life came up. Life does happen, as it tends to do. So he concedes this week to my brother. But I still have Anthony's picks. And he's going to step into Thunderdome now. If he's able to take down myself and Charlie, Missouri fan number 1, I still have his picks. I'm going to reward him with something at the end of this round of Pick'em. So let's go ahead, and before we dive into the picks, I'm going to unveil to you, as I do, my potential trap. It's a trap. The trap games for Week 9. And I've got 4 as usual. These are the games I think the higher rated or home team could lose if they're potentially looking ahead or come out a little lackadaisical following a big win last week. Here they are. The first one, number 22 Iowa State coming off a big win at home over number 8 and previously undefeated Oklahoma State. They traveled to West Virginia. And next week, Iowa State, which is absolutely right there in the Big 12 race, they host Texas. So maybe they're looking ahead. Be on the lookout, Iowa State. Next one is number 12 Kentucky coming off a bye. They travel to the air raid at Mississippi State to take on the Bulldogs. And next week, Kentucky, they host rival Tennessee. So maybe they're looking ahead to their rivalry game next week. Be on the lookout, Kentucky. Next one is Washington State travels to Arizona State. Nick Rolovich was recently fired at Washington State a week and a half ago. How is Washington State going to respond? They take it on the road to the desert. Now, Arizona State, they're on upset alert because next week they host Pac-12 South rival USC. So maybe Arizona State's looking ahead, taking the Cougars lightly. We'll have to wait and see how it plays out. And the last one, Another Big Ten showdown. Purdue travels to Nebraska. Now, Nebraska, Purdue coming off a big-time, disappointing, deflating loss at home to Wisconsin last week, as I shared with you. They still absolutely control their own destiny. They need to win out. Their schedule gets really brutal down the stretch. Now, Nebraska is playing much better ball, but they continue to find ways to lose. Their last game out, they lost another one possession game at Minnesota, 30-23. I believe now under Scott Frost, they're 5-17 or 5-18 in one possession games, just awful. But I think they are the better team, but they might be looking ahead. Next week, Nebraska hosts number 5 Ohio State, so maybe they're going to be taking the Boilermakers lightly as well. Be on the lookout, Nebraska at home. So those are my potential trap games for Week 9. Now let's move into the picks. Let me get everything situated here. Now to bring you up to speed, myself and Charlie, we have our ongoing competition. My former co-host, I get his picks every week. Right now, he is up by 4 games on me. We're both looking to be 70% or better at the end of the regular season. I have got some work to do. Charlie's getting pretty close to that number. I definitely need a good bounce back week. I have been kicked off the top of the mountain for 2 weeks straight. I need to get back on top. So, and my brother, he joins us again. So 3 men enter, 1 man leaves to become Week 9 pick champion. Let's see how it plays out. All right, our first game, Florida State at Clemson, one of the key matchups that I presented to you. Let's see how Anthony sees this game playing out. And kind of a spoiler alert, not going to tell you exactly what it is, but my brother absolutely has a reoccurring theme for his picks this week. We'll see if you can figure it out. If not, I'll tell you at the end. So Anthony, he says, when it comes down to mascots, he's got Florida State for Renegade all the way. Yeah, Renegade versus the Tiger, the Seminole, awesome mascot. Anthony likes Florida State and Renegade and Australia to get it done. Charlie, he likes the Clemson Bulldogs at home. Me, I think this Clemson team, once again, this is a big-time bragging rights, pride game. Clemson has struggled. I definitely still think that their defense under Brett Venables will be the best unit overall during this game, and it's at home. I just think Clemson finds a way to win. I also like Clemson, so we have our first disagreement of picks right out of the gate. Next game, one of my key matchups, number 1 Georgia versus Florida in Jacksonville. Let's see how my brother has this game playing out. He says, Georgia, all the way, always Georgia, always take UGA. He likes the Bulldogs. Charlie, he also likes Georgia. Me, I definitely think that it'll be a tough task for Florida to beat them, even though it is a neutral site, 50-50 split down the middle fan base and tickets. But I think Georgia is too much. We all like Georgia. Next game, we have the Fresno State Bulldogs travel to number 21 San Diego State, who's sitting there undefeated. Huge game within the Mountain West Division. Huge game. I mean, I'm so excited to watch this game. Let's see how Anthony has this game playing out. He says, I'm going with Victor E. Bulldog. So Victory Bulldog, the Fresno State mascot. Because Anthony says, like Beavis says in the old Beavis and Butthead, I like dogs. Anthony likes Fresno State. Charlie, he likes the Aztecs at home to stay undefeated, remain highly ranked. Me, if you've been paying attention, I'm all about Fresno State quarterback Jake Haener. Big win last week at home against Nevada. I like the way this team is trending. I'm taking the Bulldogs as well. Another disagreement between us three. Let's move on. Fourth game is Texas at number 16 Baylor. Big tilt in the Big 12. Has Texas been mathematically eliminated from the Big 12 title to appear in the Big 12 title game? Not technically, Baylor absolutely alive. They're sitting there with 1 loss. Huge game, especially for Baylor. Let's see how Anthony sees this game coming out. Anthony says, Bevo may batter Bruiser, but live Bears Joy and Lady turn him into a Texas-sized T-bone. That's right. The Baylor Bears have 2 live bears, and I didn't know this. Their names are Joy and Lady. They would take care of Bevo. He likes Baylor at home. Charlie, he also likes the Baylor Bears. And me, I think Baylor is ready. This team is so much improved. I love their quarterback play. I think Texas comes in there. They'll be able to move the ball and score points. But the Baylor defense, the home crowd get it done. We all like Baylor. Next game, rivalry game along Tobacco Row. We have the Duke Blue Devils really struggling this season under Coach David Cutcliffe. They travel to number 13 and undefeated Wake Forest. Let's see how this one plays out. Anthony says the Demon Deacon leaves the Devil Blue. He's taking Wake Forest. Charlie also likes Wake Forest. Me, I'm rooting for Duke. I love to see an upset here, but Wake Forest just has way too much offensive firepower. Duke won't be able to keep up. We all like Wake Forest to win. Now, next game, within the state of Nevada, UNLV, the Runnin' Rebels, travel to the Nevada Wolfpack. They play for the Fremont Cannon Trophy. It's in Reno, so there might be some shenanigans before and after the game, regardless of who wins. Maybe get Reno 911 on site. Officer B. Dangle, we need you. Let's see how Anthony sees this game playing out. My brother says General Beauregard, who used to be the mascot for UNLV, General Beauregard can't outrun Alfie the Wolf. He likes Nevada at home. Charlie, he also likes the Wolfpack. And me, we all like Nevada to win. All right. Next game, let's move on to number 10, Ole Miss travels to number 18, Auburn. Let's see how my brother has this game picked out. He said, you can't fool me with Tony the Land Shark, kind of the newly added mascot for Ole Miss. Can't fool me with Tony. He says, Ole Obby devours Ole Reb. War Eagle, he likes Auburn at home. Charlie, Charlie likes Ole Miss on the road. He thinks their offense will be too much for Auburn. Me, I think Bo Nix will do what he does. He'll find a way. He'll will them to victory, setting up a potential big matchup in the Iron Bowl against Alabama. I also like Auburn to win at home. Another disagreement among us three. Next game up. Big one in the Big Ten East, one of my other key matchups. Number 20 Penn State travels to the Horseshoe at number 5 Ohio State. Let's see what my brother says. I think I feel a sneeze coming on. Woo, excuse me. So Anthony says, in a toss-up situation, always go with the mascot who's wearing pants. So that's where he's at. He says, in this case, I'm taking the nut-wearing mascot with pants. He's taking Ohio State. Charlie, he also likes Ohio State. Me, I think this game will be very highly contested. A part of me thinks Ohio State could absolutely boat race Penn State. I mean, where are they psychologically after last week's terrible loss against Illinois at home? I think Penn State comes out with a lot of pride. It's highly contested, but I think when push comes to shove, Ohio State is just going to be too much for them. We all like Ohio State to win. Next game, big one in the Pac-12 South. UCLA travels to Utah, to Salt Lake City. Elevation. Let's see how Anthony has this game. He says, Anthony, like me, he's a Hawkeye fan. He has a soft spot for Hawk mascots. He's going with Swoop over Joe Bruin. He likes Utah at home. Charlie, he's also going with Utah. Me, I think this Utah team, good team, solid overall, but much better at home. They took a tough loss last week up in Corvallis at Oregon State. They have a nice bounce-back win. They stay in the Pac-12 South race. We all like Utah to win. Next game, we get to our spotlight games of the week. Let's start off with our beloved Black and Golds. Next game is Missouri at Vanderbilt. Must-win game for Missouri. Big-time potential for Vandy to get out of the cellar, to get an SEC victory. It's been a long while after all. Let's see how my brother thinks this game's going to go. He says the true Commodore, unfortunately, is Lionel Richie. He's like, I like Truman over Mr. Commodore. He's going with Missouri. Charlie, he likes Missouri as well. Me, I'm rooting for Vandy. I love to see them get a victory. Those teams could party like it's 1999. But I think Missouri, their offense will just be too much. We all like Missouri to win. Next game, it involves our beloved Hawkeyes. Big game on the road, number 9, Iowa, at Wisconsin in Madtown. Will it continue to be a house of horrors for the Hawkeyes? To the winner of this game goes the driver's seat of the Big Ten West. Let's see what Anthony thinks. Anthony says again, soft spot for Hawk mascots, but in another toss-up situation, I'm taking the mascot with pants. But hey, overall, nice sweater you have, Bucky. He likes Iowa. Charlie, he's also going with the Hawkeyes. Me, I've got my pick made. It's right here. I'm hesitant on this one, but I can't change it because I don't have the option for Charlie or my brother to do the same. It's going to come down to it, but I think Iowa does escape. They find a way to win off the bye, keep themselves in good position to get to Indianapolis. We all like the Hawkeyes to win. Next game is my non-Power 5 Spotlight game of the week, one of my key matchups. Number 19, SMU travels to Houston, looking for a big upset victory, get themselves in a position to be the biggest challenger against Cincinnati within the American Athletic. Anthony says, let me turn the page here. He says, well, SMU Purina in a landslide. Purina is the horse for SMU over Shasta and any other mascot for that matter. This is a fun little bit of history. I didn't know this either. That's what I love about my brother. He always further educates me. He says, in the matter, this is the only mascot, being Purina, to actually kill another during a game. The victim was the Fordham Ram. So look at it, YouTube it, Google it. It happened. So he likes SMU in this matchup. Charlie, he also likes SMU. Me, I think this is going to be an awesome game to watch, but I just think that Tanner Mordecai, the quarterback for SMU, Sonny Dykes, the head coach, has them playing at a high level. I think he'll parlay this into one of the Power 5 coaching availabilities at the end of the season. We all like SMU to win. Next game is my Academy Spotlight game of the week. We have Navy. They travel to Tulsa, the Golden Hurricane, not Canes. Let's see how Anthony has this one playing out. He says, as a Cubs fan, just like myself, I just can't back Bill the Goat. He's like, I'm taking Captain Kane is the pick. So he likes Tulsa at home. Charlie, he also likes Tulsa. Me, yes, I am a Cubs fan, but Navy lately, they've turned the corner. They knocked off UCF a couple weeks ago. Last week, they gave number 2 undefeated Cincinnati all they could handle, a real scare. They lost by 7. I like the Naval Academy to pull off the upset on the road. Next game is our FCS Spotlight game of the week. It is Rivalry Week. This is one I know a lot about, not just on the hardwood, but on the gridiron. I lived in Carbondale, worked there for many a year. So this week it is SIU, ranked in the top 5. They travel to Northern Iowa in the Dome to take on the Panthers. Let's see how Anthony has this one playing out. He says Anthony loves head coach Mark Farley of NIU. And he also loves TC the Panther. But he says, as I earlier stated, I'm a dog guy. He's taking the Salukis of SIU. Charlie, he also likes SIU. Me, this game really scares me. The tough place to go and play inside the dome there. But me, I think this is a special SIU team. They knocked off the Jackrabbits of South Dakota State last time out. I love what they're doing down in Carbondale. We all like SIU to get the victory. And now it comes down to my spotlight game of the week. Number 6, Michigan State, traveling to number 8, Michigan State. So number 6, Michigan at number 8, Michigan State for the Paul Bunyan Trophy. And I did forget to mention that Iowa and Wisconsin, they'll be playing for the Heartland Trophy. So how do we see the Michigan battle turning out between big and little brother? Let's go to Anthony first. He says, I'm going with mascotless Michigan because a man has to live by a set of rules. He's like, and for me, it's pants. He's like, in this case, I'm taking the khaki pants of Jim Harbaugh to go into East Lansing and defeat tunic-wearing Sparty. Seriously, he asks, is it a shirt or a skirt? He likes Michigan to win. Charlie, he's actually taking the home team. He likes Sparty. Go green, go white. Charlie likes Michigan State. Me, I'm still on the fence about how good either of these two teams really are. From what I've watched, I think Michigan has the advantage and the edge. I'm taking Michigan on the road to bring home the Paul Bunyan Trophy. So there you have it. We have another disagreement at the end. Fun stuff. Can't wait to see how it plays out. Tune in on Monday for the Week 9 review show and see who took home Week 9 Pick'em glory. And if you didn't notice, my brother's theme there was the better mascot or simply mascot wearing pants versus not wearing pants. Good stuff. We'll see how that treats Anthony. We'll see how that works out, that strategy. In the meantime, I want to tell you all, thank you for your time, your support. I would appreciate any likes, any shares, any subscriptions. Let's get the word out there. Comment the hell out of the episode. Let me know what's going on, how I did. If there's something you want me to share on air. And I am going to reward my brother who asked if we could talk next week about, at this point, past the halfway point, who the potential candidates are for head coach of the year. I plan on doing that either during the review show or next week's midweek show. Stay tuned for that. Also want to say, have a very happy and safe Halloween. Enjoy the candy. Avoid the belly aches. Have a great time. Be safe. Thank you once again. Enjoy the football. Enjoy the weekend. Take care of yourselves. Go Hawks. Go Tigers. Until next week, thank you very much for being here with me on the Touchdown Black and Gold vlog, and I'll talk to you next week. Adios. Bye.